market town set up right there. So let's talk a little bit more about the southern colonies now. So which colonies are part of the southern colonies? We have Maryland, Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia. So let's talk a little bit about the geography. So geography of the southern colony also contains the Appalachian Mountains. And they're actually going to run through the Georgia colony. And one of the very successful cities early on in the Georgia colony was the colony of Atlanta. And Atlanta, throughout its history, since this time period, has been referred to as the city in the woods. Okay. And we have very fertile soil in the southern region as well. That's how all those plantation owners are going to grow their cash crops and make a lot of money doing that. We're going to have deep harbors that the plantation owners are going to use to ship their cash crops elsewhere, like to the rest of the colonies or back over to Europe. There's also going to be a lot of rivers for fishing in the southern colonies. And some of those southern plantation owners are going to use the rivers to irrigate their crops so they grow better. And irrigate just means to water. So in the southern climate, it contains a very humid climate. So it's hotter throughout the year on average in the southern colonies when you compare it to the temperatures in the mid-Atlantic region and the New England region. Okay? And the winters are very mild in the southern colonies. They don't get a lot of snow. Cities like Boston in the New England region receive much more snow in the winter than, a place like Atlanta, Georgia. But their summers are hot. So let's talk about some of the natural resources in the South. Now they have fertile farmland, rivers, harbors, and a lot of forests. Okay, let's talk about their human resources. We have farmers, slaves, indentured servants. We already talked about that briefly. Capital resources. They're going to have farm tools, slave cabins, and plantations. We already talked about that. So what does the southern region specialize in? Well, they're going to specialize in growing tobacco, growing rice, growing cotton, and growing indigo. And these plantation owners, because they're able to take advantage of free labor via indentured servants and slaves, they're going to end up making millions and millions of dollars. That's how they're going to afford to be able to live in those big houses on their plantations early on. Okay. And instead of it being referred to as dollars, they called it British pounds because the southern colonies used the British currency back then. I just like to be enthusiastic when I'm talking about money sometimes. British money was pounds, so they made thousands and thousands of pounds selling these cash crops you see here. And remember, indigo, a lot of us sometimes have a question about what indigo exactly is. It is a plant that is used to dye clothing the color blue, and blue clothing was very popular throughout the 1600s and 1700s. So those indigo farmers or plantation owners, they made a lot of money off of growing indigo. So that was the trend over in the colonies to wear blue clothing. It was also the trend over in the European countries. All right. So let's talk about the lifestyle in the South now. So there are going to be a lot fewer cities and schools when compared to, for instance, the New England region. There's no Harvard in the South, right? So, and some people actually call the University of Virginia the Harvard of the South nowadays. And Thomas Jefferson was credited with creating the University of Virginia. Some people refer to it as Mr. Jefferson's University as well. So you have plantations all over the South. So that's a normal lifestyle. So many people in the South lived a couple miles away from their neighbor. They didn't have any very close neighbors like you would see people in the mid-Atlantic region having and people living in the New England region having. Right? There are a lot of mansions due to the fact that those southern plantation owners are going to make pounds and pounds and pounds of British pounds, which is Britain's form of currency, off of their plantations, selling those cash crops. So you see those beautiful plantation homes there. Slavery was a routine practice in the South, so was hiring indentured servants. And if you think about why Southern colonies were established, they're going to be established for economic reasons. Okay, people don't move to the Southern colonies because they disagree with the Church of England. They moved to the Southern colonies to make a lot of money off of growing cash crops. So you're going to see a lot of people move into the Southern colonies from England to make a lot of money and continue on with their beliefs in the Church of England and their following of the Church of England. You're going to see a lot of people move into the Mid-Atlantic region and the New England region to escape religious persecution because they want to believe in something different than the Church of England or the religion that the German city-states were making them believe in. You see the slaves here working the plantation field. You see churches, the Church of England present in the South. And that'll wrap it up for today's discussion. If you have any questions, feel free to message me on Canvas. Otherwise, I will see you next time.